crisis in the Eurozone. I'll explain how it went down. The economy declined, but why? Let's take a look.
About 9 years ago, the Eurozone foresaw a crisis getting close. They planned, but it was too strong.
Reduce your spending, that's what the EU said to Spain and France. Ireland, Portugal and Greece were also far behind. Papandreou was victorious in the year 2009. And for Greece, the hell began. Oh! The crisis was your fault. The crisis was your fault. The crisis was all your fault, Greece. The crisis is your fault. The crisis was your fault. The crisis was your fault. The crisis was all your fault, Greece. The crisis is your fault. 100 euros. That debt is way too great. We have to give you 2 bailouts, and you cannot repay.
What? The Eurozone was paying more than what it could afford. And look at Greece. In the end they became broke. And then the investment, it started to drop by selling shares and even their bonds.
Reduce your spending, that's what the EU said to Spain and France. Ireland, Portugal and Greece were also far behind. Papandreou was victorious in the year 2009. And for Greece, the hell began. Oh! The crisis was your fault. The crisis was your fault. The crisis was all your fault, Greece. The crisis is your fault. The crisis was your fault. The crisis was your fault. The crisis was all your fault, Greece. The crisis was your fault. With no backup, started to rise. Nobody was paying what they had borrowed. Overspending started and the debts rose high. A bunch of bailouts had to be handed out. Bank loans with no backup started to rise. Nobody was paying what they had borrowed. Overspending started and the debts rose high. A bunch of bailouts had to be handed out. The crisis was your fault. The crisis was your fault.
Sorry, the old Greece can't come to the phone right now. Why? Oh, because it's in debt.
Ooh, the crisis was your fault. The crisis was your fault. The crisis was all your fault, Greece. The crisis is your fault. The crisis was your fault. The crisis was your fault. The crisis was all your fault, Greece. The crisis is your fault.
Let me understand this. You think the Eurozone crisis was partly because of Greece?
I don't think it was partly because of Greece. I think it was mainly because of Greece.
I think Greece has been a mess since 1980s, with the depression and their fascist military rule that had led a public sector economics. And so, even before the global crisis in 2008, Greece's economy was already insolvent.
Yeah, and also the poor Greek population was tired of the government. And in 2009, they voted for a socially inclined ruler. And this drastic changes dramatically increased the government spending, since they wanted to, satisfy the people. This and the overlendings led to a 16-digit deficit.
In 2010, the nation got so close to bankruptcy that the Troika had to issue 2 big bailouts that amount more than 240 billion euros!
Calm down, Germany. Of course, these bailouts came with harsh conditions, such as extreme budget cuts and steep tax increases. Due to all of this situation, foreign investors began selling the shares and bonds they had in Greece. And let's not forget the other countries, such as Spain and Portugal, and even Ireland. They were falling apart as well.
I mean, yeah, that was the situation in Greece, but there were more reasons, like people not being able to pay back loans or mortgages to the banks, the high risk that in that time were low risk, and by the way, overpriced investments on financial products. The banks faced major problems with liquidity, also the real estate bubble, the And it's important to mention, of course, the bankruptcy of Lehman Brothers and the fears of the insurance company AIG of taking down major US and EU financial institutions. And of course, these financial institutions were not longer able to finance themselves. So, what are your suggestions to improve the crisis?
I would say that we would need to look at investment and, fix it. Invite for an investment and even invest ourselves.
Maybe also reducing the size of the public sector contribution to the economy and addressing the inefficiencies in the labor market. Perhaps improving the legal and judicial system would be a great step to overcome those debts. Yes, that's what I think.
Sounds good to me. But I have another issue I want to address with you, the Brexit.
Ooh, what? Look at the time. It's tea time. It's tea time. I have to go. Bye.
Oh, finally, my internet works again. Pardon me, did I miss something?
Everything. Again.
What?
The conversation, the video chat. Calm down.
Welcome, Greece. We were just discussing about Brexit. UK just left.
Oh, of course, of course. Well, I mean, it's not 100% official yet. Brexit has brought a lot of benefits to the UK itself. Their GDP grew 0.7% and banks cut interests from 0.5 to 0.25%, so their income has grown more than inflation. On the other hand, their currency, although it decreased like 12%, something like that, in comparison with the euro, which was 15%, at the end it was just another advantage because imports and exports increased. The only disadvantage I can observe are that migration decreased, housing prices increased, and traveling for citizens and tourists the prices for traveling might increase. Nevertheless, if Brexit does happen, there are a lot of agreements that must be taken into account. And by this, I mean talking about trade and transition agreements, such as the relocation of the European Union agencies in the UK, migratory policies and trade policies, which sadly might rise tariffs and prices of products and services inside the UK. Another important issue, very important issue, would be that our efforts to fight against terrorism would decrease.
I hope you pay your debts like you do your research, Greece. Talking about debts.
Oh, look at the time. I must be going. Have a nice day. Karaoke.
I can't keep up with this anymore. Well, see you next meeting, Germany, farewell.
Auf Wiedersehen!